As we look at our 10,000 year relationship with our relatives, the Pteoyate, the Buffalo Nation, here in Minnesota, they have taken care of us spiritually, culturally, nutritionally, and then in 1492, we have colonizers starting to come and establish a place here in North America where that really started to change things for both our buffalo relatives and ourselves. And by the time we get to the 1900s, where we went from 60 million bison and anywhere between 18 and 25 million Indian people in North America, through that hardship of over 300 years, we're down to 850 bison and under 250,000 of our people. So as time goes on, we start to have our relatives coming back to their homelands here in Minnesota. As our community started to grow and started to have some financial success, we continued to help out other tribal communities. One of those tribal communities was the Ogallala Nation in South Dakota. They gifted us a 6-year-old bull. Our elders kept him, brought our relative back home here to Prairie Island. A few years later, we have purchased some cows, and it wasn't long after our herd started to grow.
For me, this project is like part of my heart. It's named after my father, the Edwin Buck Jr. Buffalo Pasture. I was a Vietnam vet who was airborne and was disabled in the Vietnam War. I think it's really important for people to understand the importance of the animal itself. They are our relative. We have a different view of the world than the Western society. We see everything as our relatives, the earth, the land, the sky, the water, the trees, the plants, all animals, all four-legged, two-legged, they're all our relatives. And when you view things in that manner, you tend to treat them better than if it's just a tree or if it's just a buffalo. And we respect the buffalo, and that's why I'm so thankful that Austin's involved with the project as well, because there's also that cultural side to it. And that's an important piece that we have to remember.
What they mean to us as Dakota people and our relationship that starts with our ceremony. Like if you look at the sweat lodge that's out there, there's a buffalo skull there. If you go to our Sundance ceremony, there's buffalo skulls, people pierce with them. People who go up on vision quests often bring them to their altars. So there's a huge spiritual connection. They look after us. It's everything that they provide for us. The significance of the buffalo kill ceremony comes down to honoring that relative and making use of it as a whole. We speak on the harvest and how much meat that brings as far as production-wise, but the importance is trying to bring that ceremony back so that we can use that whole relative. I feel like they give so much, it's only right that I use that term relative with them.
So we have several pastures and 300 head. As our numbers grew, and we talk about carrying capacity, herd health, all of those things that play into really continuing to take care of our relatives. We make sure that all of their mineral needs are met. They get a full checkup to make sure they're healthy and that all of their genetic needs are met. Over the years, developed best practices. And we know there are several now in Minnesota that are bringing their relatives back home, and some already have them. We have really been kind of that resource so other tribal environmental departments can come here and really taking a look at what we have achieved here, a balance of both our cultural and traditional needs that we have with our relatives, and also the animal husbandry, really the agricultural side too. So we've shared many things about how passionate and really committed that the Prairie Island community has been to education over the years. It really is about trying to address the absentee narrative in the school district, where our culture, our history, our language is not seen or taught, but really to have our relatives here, we have really used that as Indian education for all, This year we are going to have over 4,000 school kids and teachers, tribal education departments, superintendents, school board members all come out to really engage educators in sharing our knowledge of who we are and our cultural values so that our kids can see that in a class setting. And the cool part of it is if all your classmates come out here and they're a part of that, now we have built that bridge that never existed before, that they are able to share in the classroom. A group of Indian Ed students come out with a number of non-Indian teachers, and a couple of the young boys brought hand drums. As we drove out into the pasture, the herd was on the other end of the pasture, and as we stopped, and those young boys started to sing an appropriate song, the bison herd all looked up and then didn't run, but kind of like danced past the whole group. And when the boys were done with the second verse and started with that third lead, they then turned and then danced past us again. It really was powerful in the sense that when we talk about the difference between a Western perspective and our indigenous perspective and the value that we put on our relatives, how important they are to us, I think those non-Indian teachers, when they went back to their classrooms, really had so much to share and engage with to really then for who we are, to be a part of that classroom.
Prairie Island Indian Community has proved to be a strong model for other reservations or communities hoping to reintroduce, revitalize, and educate people on their buffalo relatives. If you'd like to learn more about the Edwin Buck Jr. Buffalo Project or the history of the buffalo, check out their website at prairieisland.org.